You're listening to the Confidence Coach Podcast, episode 55. I don't have enough time. All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast. Today I want to talk about how we don't have enough time. And this is inspired for two reasons. One reason being my dog actually passed away yesterday, and it just reminds me how short life is and how we're always just like, there's never enough time. But then it got me thinking, how can we be more intentional with our time? And I know that this comes up a lot in my community, and it comes up a lot for me too. And I have to practice what I preach all the time. Like, this is a daily practice. This isn't like a one and done. And so what I want to talk to you guys about today is I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time for my goals, for my dreams, for my family, for anything, and for my health, for my fitness, for my business, whatever it is. That's like the number one excuse I get is I don't have time. There's multiple excuses that I get, but that's probably the highest one, or I don't know where to start is the next one. So today I want to go over kind of what I do for time management for a week. And in a future episode, I will likely share the whole story behind my Lola puppy. I'm just not ready to talk about that yet, but there is so much to talk about with life and death and just pets and family members, and I could just go on and on, but I'm not going to right now, so let's move on. So the first thing that I want you guys to do or think about is, do you do a time audit? Do you know what a time audit is? And what I mean by this is, do you know where you're spending your time? And a lot of you are like, yeah, I spend my time cleaning the house and going to work and chasing kids and blah, blah, blah. But I want you to get really, really intentional here. And I want you to actually track your time down to like the quarter of an hour, right? So every 15 minutes, what are you doing? And I want you to write it down. Figure out where you're spending your time. And, you can be ambitious and do this for a couple days, kind of figure out, what time do I get up? What do I do for a morning routine? If I even have a morning routine, what do I do for breakfast? What time do the kids get up? What time do I go to work? What is my work day like? How productive and focused am I actually at work? Do you get a lunch break? Is there things that you can do on your lunch break? What time do you get off? What does your evening look like? What time do you go to bed? What do your weekends look like? Figure out what your day and time looks like right now. And chances are, if you're one of those people that says, I don't have enough time, you probably don't like the way your schedule looks right now. You're probably like, there's so much going on, and I just can't. I just can't right now. So I want to challenge you, okay, to schedule out your entire week. And I recommend doing this in an actual pen to paper planner. I've really come to a few recommendations that come to mind that you can get on like Amazon, or you could go to freaking Target and buy whatever. I think they're like $5, $10, $15, $20, depending on how fancy of a planner you want. You can get a passion planner at passionplanner.com. You can get a law of attraction planner on Amazon. I've also used the high performance habits planner, which I do really like because it's got like some journaling prompts in it every day. And there's just lots of things that you can do to create more time, but you have to be intentional. Just like anything else in your life, whatever you focus on, you get more of. So when you focus on your time and finding more time, what do you think you're going to get? More time. Focus and be intentional about what it is that you're doing, because a lot of us just go through life like zombies. We're on autopilot, just kind of like going through the motions and not really figuring out what it is that we're doing throughout the day or what we want to be doing. Okay. So now you have a planner, and you guys, there's printables online too. So if you're one of those people that, you're like, I don't have enough money right now. I I can't afford anything, go to Pinterest, print off some planning templates. They have a whole bunch of there on free, or you can use like a Google Calendar if you absolutely have to, which I do use a Google Calendar, but I highly recommend putting everything in a paper planner and then transferring it to Google Calendar like once a week. So you kind of like cross-reference. Okay. So the first thing you're going to do, you're looking at your planner here. You got it planned out for the whole week. So my prep day is Sunday. And I know I've talked about this before, guys. So if you're listening in and you're like, oh my God, she's talking about time management again. This is just because it's that crucial and it's made that much of a difference in my personal life. And if I don't practice it, which there are times that I don't, I'm like batshit crazy. Like I don't know where I am, what day it is, who I need to talk to, what I need to do, what appointments I have. I just don't know anything. And I feel so frazzled and overwhelmed. And I'm like, is it time to go to sleep yet? So I want to prevent this like autopilot, overwhelm, anxious, all of these symptoms from not managing your time well. So you have your planner out. Mine's here Sunday to Saturday. And the very first thing that I put in my calendar is all of my appointments during the week. I said that funny. And my work schedule. So like when I actually have to be at the office, when I actually have to teach, when I actually have to do group calls, when I actually have my one-on-one calls, like things like this, or doctor's appointments, or dropping my daughter off, picking my daughter up, whatever it is, that's like, you just have to do it. Put those things in there first. Okay. And now I want you to look at all the blank space throughout the week. And if you don't have blank space, I want you to reevaluate, you're in this, you can take this however you want. I didn't have I cannot freaking talk to you today. Oh my God. Okay. When I worked at my corporate job, I hardly had any blank space. The only blank space that was on my calendar was when I was sleeping. And it was exhausting and I hated it. And I decided one day that I'm not going to do this anymore. And so I changed it. And so now I've come to enjoy the blank spaces on my calendar because that's my rest. That's like how much blank space can I create on my calendar this week? And so it's almost become a personal challenge because I am a busybody. I am a workaholic and I will fill the entire calendar up with things to do. And then I'll look at it and be like, oh my God, that's a lot of shit to do. So I look at my calendar, put in all my appointments, put in all of my work. And then after that, I go and I figure out how I want to feel this week. What are my intentions for this week? And so like this week, I want to feel focused. And a lot of times that's what my goal is for the week, to feel focused, to feel alive, to feel in control, things like that. Because there's nothing worse than where I'm just like frazzled all over the place. I have no idea where I need to go, who I need to talk to, when I need to be there. And it just causes this chaos in life that is totally avoidable if I just take a few action steps and plan my whole week. So, what is your focus for this week? How do you want to feel? And so what I like to do is, I'll have a weekly focus and then I'll have a daily focus. So I usually have a personal focus, which a lot of times, believe it or not, is family time or health and fitness. Like those are things that light me up. I want to be moving my body so that I feel energized, and I want to spend time with loved ones so I can feel that connection. Sometimes I'll throw some things in there where I like to feel adventurous or, things like that. And we'll go ice skating or bungee jumping. I haven't done bungee jumping yet, but that's on the to-do list. So I just figure out what I want to do that week and how I can do those things. And then every day has a focus too. Because a lot of times we feel like if we don't check everything off the bucket list that day, then we feel like a failure. Oh, I didn't get 50 million things done today, so I suck. I know because I tell myself I suck a lot. And so I always have to remove those negative thoughts and say, you know what, Sasha? You said that you were going to do this one thing today because that was the most important thing you needed to do, and you did it. Today was a success. And so that's what I want you to focus on. You have one focus per day, and then one big focus per week. And so if you get something like a passion planner or any kind of planner, you can put those on there. Like, what's today's focus? What's the focus for this week? And then you can check those off, right? And then a lot of times what I do in the evening is I'll do like an evening recap. What did I do well? And this is in the High Performance Habits Planner. I don't have it in front of me, but a lot of times it will ask you questions like, how did your day go? How did you feel? What could you have done better? How can you be 1% better tomorrow? What things can you move to the next day? Stuff like that. And that's really helped me figure out how much time I actually have in a day versus how much time I think I have in a day. And obviously not every day is perfect. There's some days that I have amazing intentions and then life happens and I have to, cancel all plans and figure out another plan. And that's okay. I used to beat myself up if my schedule did not work out to a T. I would just feel like a complete failure because I had made this big plan and I didn't follow through on it. And nobody beats you up more than you. You are your own worst enemy. I've said this before. I'll say it a million times. Your only competition is yourself, and you are your own worst enemy. You will always beat yourself up worse than anybody else. And so I want to challenge you and say, can you give yourself grace? Can you give yourself grace? Oh, this was such a hard concept for me to grasp when I first started doing it because I was a tough love kind of person. I'm like, no, like, give it to me. I need to hear it. Like, tell me I suck. It motivates me. And while sometimes that does, sometimes I just need to learn to let things go. Like, sometimes things just happen out of your control. You show up with intention to do your best. And sometimes it just doesn't happen. Sometimes life happens. And it is okay to give yourself a grace pass once in a while. Now, I'm not saying every day you just start saying like, well, I'm just giving myself grace today, so I'm just going to sit on the couch and scroll social media, because that is exactly the opposite of what I mean here. I'm talking about like the ambitious go-getter woman who's got big goals, so big of goals that she overbooks her schedule and says yes to everything. So what I want you to be is very intentional and very focused on your time, and figure out, and I've talked about this before and I'll talk about it again, figure out what your high leverage action steps are and then get those things done. Because if you assigned every task on your to-do list a dollar value, like how much does this cost per hour, you would probably pay yourself the highest wage first, right? Like, you would not do a penny an hour task or $1 an hour task. You would do the $100 an hour task, the $1,000 an hour task, the $10,000 task. Like, those things are the things that you would do first because they are the highest leverage. They're going to move the needle forward in your personal life and in your business life. So those are the things that you need to focus on. And sometimes they are not easy. They are so not easy. So we like to put them at the end of our to-do list and just pretend like they're not there until somebody calls us out on our bullshit and says, hey, Sasha, this thing you've been avoiding for 3 months that could totally move your entire life forward. Yeah, you should probably just quit wasting time thinking about it and just do it, because how good will it feel to get that done? And so those are typically what my today focuses are like the high leverage action steps. And then my intentions for the week are always to focus and take action and be intentional, because I get caught up in the little things. Like, I want to help everybody. I want to do all the things. I want to be in control of all the things. And one of my biggest lessons I've learned in 2018 is to surrender. Just surrender. You don't have to do everything. It is okay to ask for help. It is okay to delegate tasks. It is okay to hire people to clean your house, to help you with your business, to help you with your child. Like, those things are okay, because then that frees up that time and space and energy for me to become my best self. And by me showing up and becoming my best self, I am inspiring others to do the same damn thing. And I'm showing up as my best self for my daughter and for my husband. And I'm not an angry, aggravated, frustrated bitch when I come home from work or when I get off my calls, because I've been intentional. I've done the high leverage action steps, and I've farmed out everything else to somebody else so that I'm getting 3 times as much stuff done in half the time that it would take me to do. Does this make sense? Are you just like, are you guys with me? Are you with me? Or did I totally lose you? So I just want to challenge you. You do have time. You and I both have the same 24 hours in a day. I know you've heard that from a lot of people, and it used to piss me off. Oh, when people would say, you have the same amount of time as I do. I'd be like, okay, Susan, shove it up your ass. I don't want to hear it. But it's true. And when you start to focus on creating more time, more energy, more space, guess what you're going to get? More time, more energy, more space. And how do you think that's going to feel? You're going to feel pretty damn good at the end of the week when you're like, oh, hell, I got all this stuff done and I had time for self-care. I had time for a massage. I had time to go to a movie with my husband. I had time to take my daughter to the park. I had time to play games. I had time for game night. How freaking awesome is that? And so every day you show up with the intention to do your best, which for me is just 1% better than I was the day before. I don't ever strive for perfection. I used to be a total perfectionist. Like if it wasn't perfect, I just wouldn't do it. And oh man, it would send me into one hell of a negative spiral. But now I just focus on 1% better. How can I be 1% better? How can I impact the world 1% more than I did the day before? And that is my only goal, right? Be 1% better. And I only compare myself to the person I was yesterday. Sometimes, yes, I get caught up in the comparison game, but that's when I'm really intentional about social media and things like that. Because a lot of times we spend so much time scrolling and comparing ourselves to what Susie Q is doing on frickin' Instagram that we forget all the things that we need to focus on, because nobody moves the needle forward for you except for you. Okay? So think of all those 10, 15, 20, half hour, 2 hours, however much time that you're spending just mindlessly scrolling, when you could be taking action and getting shit done in life, right? Like how many workouts could you do in 2 hours? How many potential clients could you reach out to in 2 hours? You could have your whole freaking website done for your new business in 2 hours. Trust me, I know. I've rebuilt websites a few times because I was a perfectionist when I first started doing it. Anyways, that's a whole nother spiral there. So you do have the time. Be intentional, focus, come up with a weekly plan. What is your weekly focus? What is your weekly intention? How do you want to feel that week? Pick one thing a day. Pick the most important thing each day and make sure that gets done. Everything else is just a bonus. Okay? Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to hire people. Don't be afraid to delegate tasks to your husband, to your kids, to hell, whoever lives with you or helps you. It's okay. I promise it's okay. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. Change that story from I don't have time to I do have time. I am intentional with my time. I am focused and I am kicking ass. Until next time, guys, go be a badass.